Another data structure in R is a list. Lists are also known as heterogeneous data structure, meaning that we can combine different data types or data structures. So how do we create a list? We can create a list using this list function. Okay. So in this first example, we'll see how to create a list made up of 3 vector elements. So first of all, let's create our vector elements that are made up of equal length integers. So we've already created that. Then we use the list function to combine these vector elements or objects separated by a comma. Then we store it into a new object called list _1, like that. Now here we've already created our list, and we can actually tell the class of this object by using the type of function to find out what data structure this is. We can confirm it's actually a list. Okay. To add labels to our list, we basically just put the labels here, the name using double quotes, and then assign it to vectors. Okay. We execute that, and you can see we have labels associated with our vectors. Okay. Similarly, you can just remove the double quotation mark like that, and you'll still achieve the same thing. Okay. Another example is to combine different data types. So in this case, you can see we have the first element is an integer, the second element is a character vector, and the last element here is a matrix. Okay, made up of 6 elements, 2 by 3 rows. Execute that, and we can see here first element, second element, and third element. Actually, we need to do this. So we run that, and you can see here we have the first element, second element, third element. In fact, in order to Control L here to clear the console, in order to have a better descriptive information, we can use a structure here. Okay, so list. Actually, we need to save this maybe as LST, for example. Create a new object there. Okay, so I'll run this again. Okay, now if we use the structure function and pass our variable there or object, you can see now we have a nice informative details about our list. You can see it's made up of 3 levels, right? And then we'll see how this $sign can be used to access the elements. Okay, so it's strongly recommended, if you can in practice, to use the names, okay, when creating a list. Okay, you can see our first element is made up of numbers, second element is made up of characters, second element is made up of integers. Okay, so let's look at a more practical example. Tom Hanks is a famous actor who starred in the movie Forrest Gump, I think in 1994, directed by Robert Zemeckis. So let's say we want to create an object person, right? To include the name. Okay, so the given name and the family name, right? And also date of birth. Okay, and we can break this down into the month, the day, and the year. To do that, we'll just store this into a list and store it as an object person. Okay, so lists are very useful function that can help us to create recursive structure. Okay, here we can see we've used the list function to create, given it some name, and this name we have 2 elements: given name Thomas Jeffrey, and family name Hanks, right? And then the second element, date of birth, we break it down into a year, month, and day. We call this recursive structure. Okay, and when we execute this, we'll see we have the output like this. And as always, to have a more structured, more insightful information, we can use the structure. And this structure, in fact, let me just clear the console here. Return back to the person here. You can see it's made up of 2 elements, right? The first level, we use the $sign here, is name. And this name has 2 elements, right? We have Thomas Jeffrey. In fact, we have given name and family name. Okay. And then this unnamed level is made up of 3 elements. Okay. So this is actually how to read the output. Okay. And we have a named year, month, and day. In fact, the farther away it's indented from the $sign, the more deeper it is actually in the list. Okay. Then lastly, we've already now looked at how to create a list. Okay. In the next video, we're going to look at how to access these elements using probably the $ or the double square bracket notation.